Hi, Jeremy here, Modern Vitality. Do you eat bugs? I have, I do, I also don't. Interesting, we've got a paradox here. This is the bug paradox. Sometimes they're very good for you, sometimes they're very bad for you, and sometimes you're eating them and it doesn't even matter. I'm gonna break down all these three things because guess what? Eating bugs is a really hot topic right now. There are a lot of people who have an agenda behind this. We're gonna expose some of that and we're gonna help you make better decisions about your health. Of course, this isn't medical advice. This is a place where people come who wanna learn how to think freely and get their lives back from complex chronic health conditions. What's a complex chronic health condition? Lyme disease, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome, mold exposure, candida, reactivated Epstein-Barr, long haulers. There's a ton of these things. Adrenal fatigue, right? Anything autoimmune. Guess what? They're all on the rise. There's a lot of reasons for it. There's a lot of modern problems contributing to it. And there are a lot of people that want you to eat bugs. So we're going to be exploring all this and more. Let's get started. I've got a strong background in Eastern medicine, and that includes herbal medicine. Now, herbs, we tend to think of as plants. Herbs aren't always plants. Sometimes they're vegetable, of course. Sometimes they're mineral. There are different herbs that are actually more minerals than anything else. And sometimes they come from animal origin or also insect origin. So did you know there's medicinal insects? And I know I'm going to be crossing the line here. And trust me, I've got my own biases on this, which I'm going to explain and explore with you. But we have medicinal bugs. Now, is this something you want to eat all the time? Not necessarily, right? But I will tell you that there are certain formulas, old herbal formulas, for things like bone fracture, where there would be bugs as part of the mix. I know this is going to sound kind of crazy, right? But this is people figuring out medicine from nature, from the landscape. It doesn't mean we want to just be snacking on bugs all the time, but sometimes certain insects have a very high mineral content that you couldn't get elsewhere back in the old days. So we would have these formulas for if you had a fractured bone, there are certain insects like cockroaches that you could actually have included in the ground up herbal powder that then would become a pill that you would take to help your bones heal faster. Now, of course, there's plants that do this too, and you would combine things because basically who wants to have a fractured bone historically, right? It wasn't a good thing. You want to heal that as soon as you can. And likewise today, we want to heal fractures as soon as we can. We want to heal things, right? Fast. Who wants to be limping around? Same thing with other kinds of illness, right? There are acute colds and flus and sore throats and things. There are bugs or even insect products like the cicada shell, right? The little shells, you know, if you've ever lived somewhere where the cicadas come out and they leave their little husks, right? Their little shells. Those are medicinal. Those are actually really good for itchy skin, sore throats, these kinds of things. They're called chantui in Chinese medicine. And you would use that as part of a formula to help somebody get over a scratchy throat, cold flu, itchy skin, that kind of thing. Right? Hives. Really quite interesting. How people figured this out, I don't know. I don't know how anybody figured anything out back in the old days, right? But with enough accumulated wisdom over time, knowledge started to build. There's use of all kinds of insects, leeches, right? There's also even scorpions, you know, sometimes toxic bugs with their little kind of venomous or poisonous products that they have in their body could be used in the right way to help people with health issues. We see the same kind of approach, by the way, with like cancer treatment, with chemotherapy, is introducing some poison to the body to try to kill the problem, right? It's the same kind of idea. So they were doing this. They've been doing this for a long, long time. And bugs have been something that I've taken when needed. If I got an orthopedic injury, right? I had a problem, you know, martial arts injury or something like that. I would be using one of these little herbal pills that has some insect material in it, but I was using it intentionally. Now, when this came to be time in clinical practice to start talking to my patients about this, because that is one thing I think is that people should know, you know, what they're eating. And especially with anything, this is an interesting kind of side note, but cockroaches are in the same family as shrimp and shellfish and things like that. So if somebody has a shrimp allergy, they may know that, but they may not know they have a cockroach allergy, right? So you have to be aware of this stuff. And if you're going to be giving somebody a formula that has that to help them heal faster, right, which is important, then you know you need to be responsible about that and see if there's any allergies and things like that. So I was always very forthcoming with my patients. Hey, this you know, trying to be grossed out, but one of the things we use is an insect in this. Among the other plants and things in this, there's an insect. And I had a patient who was like, "Oh man, I don't know if I can eat an insect." And I said, "Guess what? You're already eating bugs. You don't know it." Right? He said, "What are you talking about?" I go, "Well, do you like peanut butter? You know, do you eat any kind of food that's you get from a grocery store?" He's like, "Well, yeah, of course." Well, a very quick search online and you can find out the FDA's limitation of how many spider parts, right? How many insect fragments can be in peanut butter. There's a limit, and it's not zero, by the way. It's like 30 parts per 100 grams, something thereabouts. So you can have a lot of insect pieces and filth, right, within your food product before it's deemed unfit for human consumption. Okay, there's a fair amount, and it's basically safe, right? Nobody has a real problem with it. So you need to understand this. You're already eating bugs, right? It's in your peanut butter, it's in your foods. They're around. It just happens, right? So you're already eating them unintentionally and unwittingly, right? It's already happening and nothing's wrong inside, right? You're okay, right? That's not changing anything. So if you're going to use them medicinally for a purpose, that sometimes helps to get over some of the squeamishness, right? Of that. It's like, okay, I get it. It's just a mental thing. It's a hang up. It's a cultural thing, right? Because some other cultures, they don't have a problem with eating bugs at all. Now, this is where, right? Up until this point, I'm all for it personally, using things that you need to use to try to help people get better. Okay. And if you're dealing with a complex chronic health condition, and I said, hey, if you eat this bug, you're going to feel better. A lot of people would be more than happy to do it because it means getting their life back. We stop being so picky about stuff when it really matters. And we're like, hey, this is important. There are like certain ants that people use that are these special tonic ants, and they take the ants as a special herb, that have all this energy to them. Right? There's all kinds of use cases of taking bugs for different reasons. Now, where this starts to take a hard turn and where I take issue with this, because I think you should eat bugs. Absolutely. If you want to, and especially if they're going to help you, especially if they're medicinal and you're taking them for a certain condition, I think you should be able to eat bugs if you want, right? And at the same time, I also think you shouldn't. Now, there's a paradox here because I've eaten bugs, I eat bugs, and I don't eat bugs. Okay, I'm going to explain this. Right now in our history, and it's 2022 as I'm recording this, which, things may change in the future, but I'm going to keep this video as it is. In our history now, there's a movement, right? There's a media movement to try to normalize eating bugs in terms of alternative nutrition. I'm not talking about for medicinal purposes to help heal a fracture or something like that. I'm talking about to meet your daily protein or calorie requirements. There's a lot of media push to try to get you to eat bugs. There's different celebrities coming around eating bugs, trying to make them look good, trying to promote them. Just like anything else, you get some celebrity spokespeople to try to make something look sexy and interesting, right? It's still bugs. There's no two ways about it. Why is the media trying to get you to eat bugs? Well, there's probably a lot of reasons for it. One part is that this has to do with a whole narrative about how the world's going to end and how we need to get off of agriculture. We need to stop eating the foods that humans kind of are used to eating, right? We need to stop all that, and you need to eat bugs. I can tell you right now that the ruling class who's advocating people eating bugs, those people don't plan on eating the bugs long term, right? They're going to be eating still steaks and tuna fish and whatever else. And they are more than happy to see the common people kind of eating crickets and grasshoppers and spiders and this kind of thing. There's a bit of a public shaming going on. And I'm just going to be really candid about this and this is a little bit different than the stuff I normally talk about in this channel, but it has to do with personal power, and it has to do with self-respect, and it has to do with dignity. And I believe it has to do with standing up for yourself. And even though I'm somebody who has eaten bugs and has prescribed bugs, right? And I still will. I also prescribe standing up for yourself and not just succumbing to whatever fear-mongering is going on in the media. No matter what they tell you about climate change and how there's going to be food shortages and all this stuff, and then they're trying to steer you to eat bugs as a way to basically create some sort of lower class system where you can tell again, oh, these people are the ones who believe that they should be eating bugs, so they're lower, in the hierarchy of power, and the other ones up here who are telling everybody to eat bugs are the ones eating steaks and still living normally, right? It's a very interesting dichotomy we have happening. And anybody with the eyes to see it can see the climate change arguments. All the people who are the loudest about climate change are the people who are the most wasteful with resources, right? They obviously don't believe it through their actions, right? But they're more than happy to tell you and to control the media to tell you to go eat the bugs. So what I'm going to say is if you want to eat bugs, go for it, right? Eat the bugs. I'm not going to stop you. But the other thing I'll say is examine your reasons for anything you do. whether it's eating bugs or anything, right? Whatever it is you want to do, what are the reasons? Is it because the media is pushing you to do it? Is it because of peer pressure? Is it because somebody told you it was for the greater good, right? To get you to do something kind of humiliating or something you don't want to do or something that limits your life or something you don't feel good about inside, right? It's just like I tell my kids, if somebody tells you to do something and you don't feel good about it inside, you tell us, right? You don't have to do those things. You listen to your gut, listen to your conscience, right? You pay attention to that. You don't just do whatever somebody says if it doesn't feel like a good thing, right? You need to develop that internal conversation. Start trusting yourself. So when you see media messaging, eat the bugs, eat the bugs. Here comes some more celebrities. Oh yeah, this is the new thing. It's going to save the planet. They've been talking about how the planet's going to die forever. It's always some new impending crisis, and it always just gets us to do weirder and weirder things and give away more and more freedoms. So I would encourage you, if you like the food that's on your plate already, protect your plate, right? Don't just give up your rights and your liberties, and don't jump on the bandwagon, and don't do whatever you've been told to do for the greater good or whatever else. Try not to give up your self-respect. And at the same time, if you break a bone, you might consider an herbal pill that happens to have some cockroach, right? It's just, maybe it's what you need. We don't have to be rigid and binary. We can do both things from a place of personal empowerment. If you're struggling with a complex chronic health condition and you like these kinds of topics, right? You want to know more about how to approach your health. You want to expand your thinking, try to break free from some of this matrix culture that we live in. There's a wonderful place that I've created. It's a group, right? You don't have to do this stuff alone. We've got a great group of people. We're international. Everybody's working on healing through the stages 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Going through a very strategic, very significant process of getting your life back from complex chronic health conditions. It's a free group to join. You can come on in there. There's wonderful people. As I said, I'm in there. You can ask me anything. I'll give you my perspective. I'll try to help you as best I can. I've got a vault full of interactive videos. It's a great place to be. The link you'll find in the description below this video. And I'm sure you can find that. You're a detective, right? You'll find it. And there's an application. And if I see your application and it looks good, I'll get you in as soon as I can. We do fill up. It might be a month. It might be more. But I do my best to get everybody an opportunity to come into the group. So there we have it. Eat bugs. Don't eat bugs, right? Whatever you do, follow that paradox. But whatever you do it because inside it's the right thing to do, not because somebody's telling you to. All right, let's get you feeling better. Cheers.